got to make an admission to you. I tell you what, whoever set this up hit a soft spot in my heart. I'm the biggest railroad guy you ever known. I have traveled round trip from Wilmington, Delaware to Washington, D.C., a 250-mile round trip over 7,900 times, man. I am a railroad guy. 36 years every day, never lived in Washington. Came home all the time to see that great son of mine and his brother and sister and my grandkids. I tell you what, gosh, it's great to be here. And by the way, I heard you got a team here. You know, I heard it when I was in 8th grade. And let me tell you why. Green Bay has always had in the Packers a special place in my heart. And the heart of all the guys, the heart of all the guys I went to a Catholic boys' school with. I went to 12 years of Catholic grade school and high school. And the high school I went to was taught by an order of priests called the Norbertines. You've heard of them. Well, I want to tell you, I know you know their abbey is in De Pere, and we always started homeroom with a prayer in the Catholic school. And in our school, it was in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and Vince Lombardi, and it would go from there. I tell you, homeroom in the fall at Archmere Academy was a lot different than any other time of the year. That's when we learned the names of the 12 apostles. Bart Starr, Paul Horning, Jimmy Taylor, Max McGee, Boyd Dowler, Ray Nitschke, Willie Davis, Herb Adderley, Don Chandler. You get the point. That's all we heard about, man. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. You know, you see, this is how it worked. Our headmaster was from Wisconsin. The headmaster's name was Justin E. Diney, D-I-N-E-Y. He used to sign everything J-E-D. We called him the head Jed. And not to his face, not to his face. And he'd come over to the PA system in the morning and he'd say, "Gentlemen, the Packers won yesterday. Therefore, there will be no last period today." That's why we love the Packers, man. If it wasn't your favorite team, it was your number 2 team, I promise you. Let me start by recognizing a great congresswoman who I believe will soon be your next great senator, Tammy Baldwin. Tammy, where are you? There you are. Good to see you, Tammy. And I'd like to recognize all the elected officials here and thank them for coming, but particularly Jamie Wall. Jamie, you're the next congressman. Where's Jamie? I just want to make sure, because I know how important the members of the House and the Senate are. Just remember, Jamie, I recognize you, man. I don't want you to pretend I didn't know you, okay, when you're there. Brett, thank you for that generous introduction, and it's an honor to be with Brett. You know, to be with a real labor guy, organized labor guy on the eve of Labor Day is a good thing. I know how to say union. I know how to say union. I got elected because of union. The steel workers were the first union to ever endorse me. But there's something more special, even more special about Brett, if you can say more special than it is. This guy was an aviator, one of the most decorated and celebrated division in the United States Army. The Screaming Eagles of the 101st Division. These guys are real, man. Brett, thank you for years of service. Folks, this country, as you all know, and I apologize, by the way, I've been here for half an hour. I want you to know that. So I don't want any record saying I was late. But the good news was there were 250 people still trying to get in. So I apologize for you all standing this long. But folks, to state the obvious, this country faces the starkest choice for president in my memory. And now that Governor Romney and Congressman Ryan have been nominated, well, no. I don't need your boos. We need your votes. Not boos, just votes. Now that they're a team, and I mean this sincerely, those stark differences are even more stark, because Congressman Ryan has now given an absolutely clear definition to Governor Romney's vague commitments he's been making the last year and a half, and I mean that seriously. In a strange way, we sort of have two incumbent parties. We know exactly what the other team's going to do, and I'm not joking. The reason we do is the House Republican Party has already passed the Ryan budget, has already put in place everything that Romney says he's promising to do for the whole nation. So all you got to do is take a look. Just take a look at what they did. And we're going to point out what they did in that Republican House, because it is honestly the best way to show the differences. They call their plan new, bold, and gutsy. No, that's how they characterize it. But the neighborhood I come from, there's nothing gutsy about giving a $1 trillion new tax cut for millionaires only. And that's, look folks, there's nothing bold about gutting Medicare and turning into a voucher system in order to pay for those cuts in taxes for millionaires. And what's new about their plan? Not only it's not new, it's not fair, it's simply not right. And it will not grow the economy. How do we know? They tried it before, and it didn't work before. Folks, we've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends. It ends in lost jobs, stagnant wages, watching the equity in your home accounts get decimated. It ends in a catastrophe for the middle class. It ends in the Great Recession of 2008. And listen to the theme they're now running on. And I quote, "Restore the dreams and greatness of this country." Restore the dreams and greatness of this country. Why do we have to restore those dreams and greatness? What they're not telling you is who took them away. What they're not telling you is the very proposals that the congressman voted for the last 14 years, the very economic policy the governor supported, as both governor as a businessman. They're the very policies that put America's greatness in jeopardy. Ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to the convention, they talked about the state of the nation and all these terrible things that happened in 2009. How do they think we got there? No, really. Think about it. Do they think we have amnesia? How do they think this happened? Did it just fall from the sky on September the 15th, 2008, when Lehman Brothers went under? Ladies and gentlemen, my grandson Hunter, his little sister is a little older than he is, as she would say, "Pop, did Casper the Friendly Ghost do it? Who did it? How did we get here?" Folks, there's a lot more they didn't tell you at their convention. When Congressman Ryan was elected in 1988 and took office in 99, there was a Democratic administration. We had a balanced budget. The middle class was thriving. What they didn't say was that the day we were sworn in, before the president sat behind the desk, the resolute in his office, he was handed a tab for $1 trillion in deficit for that year before we got started. And the American middle class was devastated. And much of what they did tell you wasn't on the level at that convention. You heard Congressman Ryan on Wednesday night blame the president. Now, listen to this now. He blamed the president because the recommendations of a bipartisan debt commission that we appointed weren't acted on, the so-called Simpson-Bowles Commission. He said the president appointed this commission, and the recommendations were never acted on. What he didn't tell you is he sat on that commission. No. He sat on that commission. And were he and his House Republican friends that he leads, had they voted with the commission, It would have been voted on, but he voted no. He would not let it go to the floor. He walked away. And by the way, the commission he's talking about recommended a balanced approach to bring down our debt and control the debt crisis. Here's what they said. They said, we recommend you cut $3 in spending for every dollar in revenue you raise. The president's plan calls for a similar approach. But Governor Romney and Congressman Ryan reject that balanced approach. Romney has repeatedly said that he would reject any deal to bring down the debt that included $10 in spending cuts, even if it had only $1 in taxes for the wealthy. And Congressman Ryan failed to mention any of that. A convenient omission, I'd say. I love these guys. Oh, I love these guys. I love these guys, how they claim to care about the deficit. When we left office, it was in balance. Ladies and gentlemen, the thing I most love about them is how they discovered the middle class at their convention. Wasn't that amazing? All of a sudden, their heart was bleeding for the middle class. Whoa! I was impressed. I thought, where have I been, Tammy, the last 4 years? I must have gotten it all wrong. Listen to what Congressman Ryan had to say in his convention speech. He's a good guy, by the way. A great father, as is Romney. They're good men. But listen to what he had to say. He said, and I quote, "The truest measure of any society is how it treats those who cannot defend or care for themselves." The truest measure of any society is how it treats those who cannot defend or care for themselves. That's what he said. Well, folks, so let's measure what he and Governor Romney want to do for those who cannot defend or care for themselves. And the best way to do that, as my dad would say, my dad had a great expression. Anytime someone would tell him, this is what I value, this is what I care about, he said, well, don't tell me what you value. Show me your budget. I'll tell you what you value. Show me your budget. I'll tell you what you value. Well, folks, they'll cry foul, but let's take a look at their budget. Now, to understand what they value. Massive cuts in Medicaid, throwing 19 million people off health care, including 1 million seniors and several million children. That, by the way, I'm not making this stuff up. Massive cuts in Medicare. Folks, let's be honest here. What the president and I are talking about is protecting Medicare. And I find it fascinating that these guys expect the people to believe that guys like me who've spent my whole life and my party who spent their whole time generating, creating, and caring for Medicare are somehow against it now and they're for it, when they've been against it or want to do less of it for the past 40 years.